It's morphin time. Pterodactyl.
Hi there, this is Datila with Rangers of Wrestling, and it's wrestling time post show, and tonight I'll be reviewing Impact Wrestling. All right, so tonight's Impact Wrestling kicked off with the Digital Media Championship match. It was Jordyne Grace versus Matt Cardona. All right, so I have to say that I really like the fact that Matt Cardona was wearing his Z True Long Island trunks. As you guys recall, that was his hit YouTube show where he was internet champion. So this makes sense. So this is a good intergender match. Matt Cardona turning heel during this match, I will say, because he ended up giving, well, aside from giving Jordan Grace a boot to the face, he tried to, when he went flying outside, he grabbed the title belt. He was going to hit Jordan Grace with it, but the ref took it from him. So while the ref was distracted, Matt Cardona grabbed the steel chair and hit Jordan Grace with it, effectively knocking her out, and he ended up winning the Digital Media Championship. So as we know, Matt Cardona has been a heel in GCW. So it's finally time he turned heel in Impact. And he won the Digital Media Championship, which makes a lot of sense because he was the internet champion at one point. So totally cool. I actually like this. So see where this goes. And then later in the night, he told Gia Miller to ask Jonathan Gresham how it feels to be married to a loser. All right, so then after this, we had W. Morrissey backstage beating up the Learning Tree looking for Brian Myers, and he took out poor Ziggy Dice, but Scott D'Amore ended up stopping W. Morrissey before he got a chance to hurt Brian Myers and telling him that next week he will be facing Brian Myers in a no DQ match, and says that Moose is at a hotel, and then Morrissey leaves. So then we had Jonah versus Crazy Steve. This was a squash match through and through. Jonah dominated Crazy Steve. And of course, if you guys can't figure it out, Jonah was victorious. And he was about to attack Crazy Steve at the end in a post-match assault, but Black Taurus and Rosemary stepped in and stopped him. So then after this, we get a segment with the influence. It's basically Madison Rayne talking to Caleb with the K, and he was saying how close they were to winning the match, and Madison says that it was a non-title match, but she doesn't see it that way. She says that until Tenille comes back and they have a match against the actual influence and not the bootleg version, then they'll come close to winning the tag titles. And then the Inspiration interrupt and give Caleb with the K a gift. So I'm curious to see what that gift is. So next we had Steve Maclin versus Jonathan Gresham in a rematch, I guess you can say, from last week. This one was actually just a regular wrestling match. It wasn't for the ROH Championship, and it wasn't under pure honor rule. So this is just a regular wrestling match. This was a great match. A really, really good match. Of course, Jonathan Gresham actually ended up being victorious. He won by DQ because Steve Maclin got himself disqualified after he was giving Jonathan Gresham a bunch of right hands. So at the end of the match, Honor No More attacked Steve Maclin, and they gave him the Proton Pack to Steve Maclin. And Jonathan Gresham was walking away, Josh Alexander came out because his match was next. And I will say they had a stare down. So if we get at some point Jonathan Gresham versus Josh Alexander, that match is going to be amazing. All right. So then, like I said, Josh Alexander's match was next, and he was going up against Vincent. This was also a good match. Of course, Honor No More got involved in this, or they tried to get involved multiple times throughout the match. But despite their best efforts, Josh Alexander ended up winning by submission. And here's the thing, though. Rich Swann, Rhino, and Chris Sabin all came out to help Josh Alexander, even up the odds. But where was Eddie Edwards? Eddie Edwards was nowhere to be found. Nowhere. So where was he? Is he going? Does this mean he's more of a ring and is he on the side of Honor No More? Is he on Team Impact side? I guess it's wait till No Surrender to find out. So then after this, you see Morrissey at a hotel. He kicked down the door. He found Moose. He beat the living tar out of him. So that was that segment. Then I forgot to mention, Josh Alexander was attacked by Kenny King. All right. So after that Moose segment, we get the Honor No More segment, pretty much backstage. Kenny King says that they are here because they were lied to and they were made to believe that honor was real, but honor is not. But honor is as real as it in wrestling as it is in politics, and that there's no room for lies, no room for games or honor, and that they're taking over. So I'm really excited to see what the outcome of the Honor No More versus Team Impact is. I have a feeling though it's going to be Honor No More winning. Then we had John Skylar versus, I forgive me if I mispronounce this, Gujjar. This was an impressive debut against John Skylar. Of course, Bhupinder Gujjar. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. Was victorious, and Rossing comes out and claps for him, acting like, trying to take credit for all of this. But this was a good match. Then we get, this is the talking point of the night. Then we get a backstage segment with Mickie James. And Impact shows Ross footage of the Royal Rumble. Yes, the Royal Rumble. WWE actually, and it's a courtesy of World Wrestling Entertainment at the top, WWE actually let Impact air their Royal Rumble footage. I almost lost my mind because of that. Like, seriously, like, who would have thought that you'd see WWE footage on Impact Wrestling? That was insane. Well, the point is, they show the footage, and Tasha Steelz interrupts Mickie James, and she pretends copyright. LL Steve, how dare they? It said copyright at World Wrestling Entertainment, so I'm assuming it was okay. And Tasha Steelz basically tells her she can save her whining after she gets beaten. And that she prepared a speech for Mickie James. So she basically says she's going to send Mickie home a loser. Mickie fires back and says that if Tasha were a better wrestler, she would have been champion by now. Ow, that must have stung. Then after that, we get a promo for the quintessential diva, Giselle Shaw. So I'm excited to see what she brings to Impact Knockouts division. She seems badass based on the vignettes they shown, but we gotta wait and see. We got Masha Samovic versus Kaci Lennox. This was a squash match. They're still establishing Masha as this dominant beast. Yeah, Masha won this match. She won. All right. So then after that, we get a segment with Deanna. She basically said that she doesn't need to listen to anything that Mickie James says, because if it wasn't for her, Mickie James wouldn't have been able to waltz into Impact and give a knockout state of the address. Deanna says that she is the state of the knockouts division. And she basically proceeds to list all of her accomplishments. She says she does talking in the ring, and next week she's going to hold an open challenge for either of her titles, which were either the Reina de Reinas, the AAA Reina de Reinas Championship, or the Ring of Honor Women's Championship. And she said it doesn't matter who answers those challenges, because nobody's going to be able to dethrone the Virtuosa, and they will all end up with a broken arm. So in the main event, we get the Bullet Club in the form of Chris Bay, Jay White, and the Gorillas of Destiny versus Speedball Mike Bailey, Jake Something, Ace Austin, and Mad Fulton. This was a good main event. Very good main event. I kid you not. So, without this whole match, there was tension on the team of Speedball, Mike Bailey, Jake Something, Ace Austin, and Mad Fulton. Ace Austin kept tagging in Mad Fulton, and Mad Fulton tagged in Ace Austin. They were refusing to tag in poor Jake Something, who wanted to get involved in this match. Yep. It was like that pretty much the entire time. And it was one occasion where Speedball and Mike Bailey got tagged in, and it looked like he was gonna tag Jake something, but Ace Austin tagged himself in. And this was a good match. This was a really good match. I guess another talking point would be that the Gorillas of Destiny do the Magic Killer on Mad Fulton. After Jake something ended up tagging himself in because he had to grab Ace Austin by the hair, bring him close to the ring, and tag him so that he could get in this match. Jake something was pretty much cleaning house. He did a spear into Chris Bay into the ropes, but ultimately he was left alone to face the Bullet Club, and the odds were against him. And the Bullet Club ended up victorious. And then Violent by Design and the Good Brothers came out and attacked the Bullet Club. And that is how we ended tonight's Impact Wrestling. Wow, holy smokes. This was a great episode. I don't care what anybody says. This is a great episode. I have to say that main event was probably my favorite match of the night. But I also did actually, no, it wasn't just my favorite match of the night. Was that one? Josh Alexander versus Vincent, because Josh Alexander never disappoints. And of course, Steve Maclin versus Jonathan Gresham. Even the Bhupinder, Gujjar, John Skylar was good. Jordan Grace versus Matt Cardona, or Mid Cardona, however you want to call him. It was a good match. This is nice. Actually, you know what? I'm actually going to give this episode of Impact. Oh, thanks, Steve. You know what? I'm going to give this episode of Impact a 5. 5 out of 5. It was a really good episode. I honestly had no complaints about this episode. No complaints at all. Because finally we moved on from the Heath and Rhino Violent by Design Good Brothers rivalry. Finally. And yeah, a perfect 10. This was a really great episode. Honestly, I have nothing more to say. And thank you guys all so much for watching. Please don't forget to like and subscribe, and make sure you hit that bell so you get notified whenever I go live or release a new video. And I will see you guys tomorrow after AEW Rampage. Bye.